We need to talk about modding, and we need to talk about the fact that modding is not doing what it should do. Modding is not doing exactly what it's meant to be doing, and modding is at the moment doing something it should never have been to do. And today we need to talk about the fact that modders are saving games. And that is not what it was intended to be doing. I want to specifically address this video to the games like Planet Zoo, Cities Skylines 2, and every other game, basically major game, that has been released in the last couple of years as an A+ game. We have a huge problem in the gaming industry at this point. We have a huge problem of half-baked games being released due to the pressure of making money, whether it's being due to investors or the companies having been developing too quickly during the pandemic, which was exceptionally good for them, or because they just want to bring out a game to a certain schedule. Whatever it is, and you know that I love the games and the companies a lot, and all the people over there working have my utmost respect. But there is a genuine issue I'm seeing right now. And I wanted to address this because let's take, for example, Cities Skylines 2 and Planet Zoo in this video specifically. I know that a lot of you guys, and we will start with Planet Zoo for this example, I know that a lot of you guys love the mods, but some of the mods, and Planet Zoo is a little bit more of a easy example because it's not as much of an issue over here. Cities Skylines 2 is going to be a bit of a bigger discussion point in this video in a couple of minutes, but let's focus on Planet Zoo for a second. This game is wonderful. It's mega. It has received updates for years, and we're still not at the end. There's at least one more update coming. And already now people are screaming, yay, the mods will continue the game, which is real and it's fine and it's great. But the best mods I've been using, and I even made a video about this, are remakes and remasters of animals. That should not be a thing. Modders should not fix animals in an animal game in the first place. Modders should be there to bring in new animals, which they do. Modders should be there to make things better. But another very famous and well-known and loved mod is, well, basically Freebuild. Freebuild is yet another example of something that should not be. Freebuild mostly fixed all the issues, at least I personally had, with the pathing. And as we all know, pathing is one of the biggest issues with the Planet games itself. But Freebuild fixes it with a rather simple fix, to be honest, by just removing all the limitations and let players go. And we do see the game doesn't crash, it doesn't have any issues. So why is that? And I asked myself the question already a couple of years ago, in the time where Cities Skylines 1 was kind of the first bigger example of what I'm talking about today. And let me now go into the Cities Skylines problematic. And the Cities Skylines problematic for me is the blueprint of our modern era and why I think it is such a huge issue. Let me first of all build a little foundation so you guys have a bit of an easier way to follow me. Cities Skylines 1 obviously is an amazing game, but the game itself is a good foundation, and what modders and DLCs have made it is what we all love. If we think of Cities Skylines, we think of this highly modded, hyper-realistic, great-looking game. We see the game that has been shaped by the likes of Strict Toaster, Fluxtrans, Sylve, obviously 2020, and all the great people behind that. Creative Decks as well, another one that I find absolutely insane in this game. But those people are artists, you know, they take the tools, they create something great looking, similar to what maybe we do in Planet Zoo. They do something absolutely out of this world, but that is not what the majority can do and can achieve, let alone with the base game. And Cities Skylines 1 is such a highly modded game that if you do not play the game for, let's say, a month or so, it is super hard to get back in because an update or so may have broken 20% of your mods. And if the modders, and this is the first big thing we have to talk about, if the modders don't continue certain things, well, you're doomed, because with every new update, the game will not support the old mod maybe anymore, and this mod is not working anymore. Never forget that a mod is something as an addition, something genuinely from the free will of people there is no one who owes you anything. It's not like a fix that the game needs to bring because it's broken and you basically paid money for it. You never paid money for a mod, at least free mods not. So there is no dedication in that term, and there is no relevance in that sense, as if it's broken, it's broken, and there is no one in the world who owes you to fix it. And for me personally, I always saw modding as a brilliant add-on that you can take on your own risk. And as long as that is the case, well, it's all great. And I have to admit that with all the updates and all the DLCs that Colossal Order brought to Cities Skylines 1, yes, the current vanilla version with all the DLCs of Cities Skylines 1 is a great game. And most of the things have been fixed, but we shall not forget that many of these additions have been mods prior to that have been brought into the game. So in that sense, it really went super well. But you can now see the tragedy unfold with Cities Skylines 2. Because now there is a game which is, again, potentially a great foundation. I still believe that. But you still see how much they rely on modders to fix what the game doesn't deliver. I really don't like talking about this like so, but I think many people have already talked about this enough that we can agree that the foundation of the game at this point in time is not good enough to hold up with Cities Skylines 1, for example, without any mods. And this in particular is something I'm criticizing, not Colossal Order per se, or like in specific, most of the game developers out there. I'm not sure if they rely on modders or if it's basically just kind of a natural relation that is created because people love games and want to play them, so they basically fix them themselves. And this should not be the issue. It's almost like you get a car and you need to have a great modder to mod your car so it can drive. That's not the point, you know? If you get a modder who makes your car more sexier looking, you know, in a different color, and it still drives the same way, hey, well, that's great. But this is not the status of modern day games. And I have a feeling that we're moving into an era that doesn't really change much, and that scares me. I want to have games that play well, and I can decide to do something more with mods if I want to, but I don't need to, because the game already gives me the tools I need to unfold my creativity, my management skills, my strategic skills, or whatever I want to have from that game. And I wanted to address that. And there is a second big point that I find very complicated with mods. And I want to give you the example of Planet Coaster. Planet Coaster is a game that is rarely modded, and that is because Frontier has been very strict when it comes to modding, and it took a long time for people to break into the Cobra engine. And at the end of the day, I'm very happy about this, because Frontier fixed a lot of issues in Planet Coaster together with the community. I would really say that Planet Coaster is one of the old examples how it should be. Planet Coaster is by any means a perfect game, but it is a perfect game for the time being, where it was still supported. And you know what was great about it? The community always knew exactly how great something was, because everyone shared the same tools. And this is something I also love about games, that you can basically see what people are doing because you share the same tools. And with a heavy modded game like Cities Skylines 1, for example, this common ground is also gone. That doesn't mean I don't like it, you know, I love it, but I also like the fact that at least for a certain amount of time, a certain time frame from release to a given age of a game, I like a common ground to understand what is doable, what is the limitation of the game. But as soon as modders come in with extreme skill, they can nearly do anything that you potentially can't, and you rely on the fact that they actively give you the mods. And for most part that's true, because like 90% I would say of the modding world is a very open source and everyone shares it with everyone, which is lovely. But then again, there isn't. And these things, for me personally, make it hard to solely rely on mods. So don't get me wrong, I love mods and I will always use them. I highly support modding. But I really wish we can go back to a time where modding was really solely an addition. It was an add-on, it was something that you can use but you don't need to. Something that you want to embrace once you have mastered the game and then go a step further. Something that you don't need until you have completely done everything in the game. Something that helps you to expand the lifespan of this game. This is what mods do for me. It's not their job, and this is where we end, where we've started. It's not the job of mods and modders to fix a game, to make a game playable, to make a game enjoyable, to make people want to play a game. That is not the job of modders and mods. And I have a problem with the fact that at this point in time, it is their job. They are doing this. People are fixing games. People are actively fixing games in their free time without getting any money for that, without getting anything other than the praise and the love of the communities, which is a lot, don't get me wrong, but they don't get anything else. And we must fix this. And we must fix this by stepping up our communication towards and together with developers, working on the state of games, taking pressure from them if we can somehow, by helping them develop and helping them making better games at the very beginning. Because I see this as a huge issue. I don't even know if actively, as I said at the beginning, developers see modders as like, oh yeah, they'll fix it anyways, or they will use anyways. But City Skylines 2 is such a good example, because as much many people have hated the decision for Paradox to go onto their own mod loader, I loved that decision in the first place. But the decision was made bad as they now delayed it. See, the point is, people don't wait to fix a game. They need certain things. And if you don't give them these things, they will get active, which they have done already. But the mod loader was a good idea. I love the idea to include the console players. I love the idea to get a common ground again, as I was talking about, with the inclusion of mods and great modders. Bringing them into the early access was a super move. And if only they would have released that earlier now, to at least create this common ground and not make people rely on external stuff again, hey, that would have been great. But I'm starting to repeat myself, so we shall end this here. I wanted to make this video to create a bit of an awareness for the fact that I think modding is doing the wrong job at the moment. And I feel like modders have to be praised for what they're doing from a different POV, as I was stating in this video. So to all the modders out there, thank you from the bottom of my heart for all your hard work, for all your insane support, for making games playable that should have been playable in the first place. Thank you for expanding the lifespan of games and always filling us with joy and other stuff. But I really wish that you guys can lean back a little bit more and focus on the absurd next level stuff, the 120%, other than the 80%. So that's that. And to all the developers out there, I feel you, and this is by no means a harsh criticism or anything. I know how the situation in the gaming industry is at the moment, and people put their love and passion in there. So I really hope that we will find a better together stuff in the future again. And yeah, see you on the other side, I should say. Thank you for listening. I really hope you guys enjoyed this little ramble over what the state of modding is. And I talk to you in the next one. Goodbye.